Welcome to the Hope Line.
Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Dawson McAllister along with Rachel Cardinal. We've got a great show planned for you tonight. You know why? We cover a lot of topics and we give out answers as well. You're going to like it. How about abandonment? Maybe you've dealt with abuse, addiction, anger, anxiety. That's just the A's. Your boyfriend, broken hearts, bullying, cheating, cutting. We'll talk about many of these subjects tonight. It's all there for you. Rachel, what do you see coming down the track?
We'll talk about things like loneliness, lying, cheating, relationship issues. Maybe you're suffering from low self-esteem.
And I'm here to tell you it'll be worth the time. It could just change your life forever.
I have some really bad self-esteem issues. They're related to a lot of my image, so I have very poor body image.
What's wrong with your body?
Well, I'm thin, but I find something wrong with everything.
I guess we all could do that.
When perfectly made, perfectly loved, you see something great that you are proud of. When they see a waste, you see a diamond in the rough. You don't make mistakes. I'm perfectly made and I'm perfectly loved.
Have you ever heard of the concept of inner beauty?
Yes.
That's where spiritual issues or issues of the heart, kindness, loving, optimistic, caring, sharing, tenderness, peace, being picked on, and being hurt could in the end make you even more sensitive to people who are like you, but they're hiding behind some big wall. Secondly, it's going to take some work to really come to the place where you understand that inner beauty far outweighs outer beauty. Our culture's so into outer beauty. But when you become kind and loving and sharing and caring, all those things and more, you become beautiful, both on the inside, which affects the way you look on the outside. So I want to encourage you to continue working very hard on your inner beauty while talking out your frustrations about your own insecurity. It's amazing when we take our eyes off ourselves and begin to show that inner beauty to others, how much our depression and our self-defeating thoughts go away.
The Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
You're on the air with Dawson. How can I help you?
I just wanted to call and tell your entire station, your staff, all the coaches, everybody, thank you, because I went through a very, very, very rough time in my young childhood, and now I've got through it, and now everything seems to be fitting into place, and I just wanted to call and say thank you, and y'all are even in my contacts. That's how, I feel like I have a family.
Wow. What did we help you through?
I was in love with a married man, and I was only 16, and he was almost 20. And so I was fighting through, well, should I love him? Because, we had a bond, outside of him being married, and then he didn't want to get married, but he got married to keep the girl, and it was just a whole bunch of just blah, blah, blah. And one of your coaches, I guess.
Hope coaches.
Yeah, she emailed me, and I think I still talk to her today. I have her, in my contacts on my email, and I just text her. I send her a message every day saying, I'm great, thanks so much.
We're glad. We're glad to be there for you. That's a cool story. Thank you, Whitney.
You're listening to the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
There's this incredibly beautiful verse in Isaiah 30, verse 18. Yet the Lord longs to be gracious to you. He aches in his heart to want to be good to us, give us things, love us, lead us, help us. He longs to be gracious to you. Therefore, he will rise up to show you compassion. Think of that. I always kind of think of it somehow literally in my mind, God rising up, this great, beautiful cloud of power. Can you imagine when you do the right thing, God rises up just to thank you and encourage you? It's a beautiful thing. He wants to show you compassion tonight. And as you look for compassion, God's right there to stand up and give you a standing ovation. He is on your side.
The Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
How are things with your dad?
It's like he's got mixed up on crystal meth pretty bad, and he's took me to court, me and my sister to court about 25 times altogether, trying to take us away from our mama. And I love my daddy because he's my daddy, but there's no way I'm going to live with him.
Nope.
Because there's men coming in and out of that house like crazy. And, I mean, I've caught him smoking. I mean, I was riding my horse and came up on him while he was smoking. He was smoking crystal meth. He was in the house cooking it.
Oh, boy.
And then we went to court because, I mean, I had proof. And we went to court, and they called me a liar to my face.
What's he on? Battery fluid, for crying out loud? They're lying.
I mean, I love my dad, and I'll do anything for him. But I'm not going to be around him if he's on drugs.
Good for you, Kayla. You're doing the right thing. Who you living with now?
My mama.
Who's she living with?
She got married like 3 years ago, and the man didn't like me. He hated me with a passion.
So he's gone now?
Yeah, he's gone. They got divorced. Because he shoved a bar of soap down his child's mouth.
Somebody needs to run over him with your horse. Well, how can I help you, Kayla?
I don't know if I need to try to spend time with him, or do I need to talk to him, or...
I'd stay away till he gets off of meth, gets some counseling, and comes to his senses, comes back and seeks forgiveness. You need to stay away from him, even though he is your daddy.
I mean, I've got in church. I got saved. I'm living for the Lord. I'm doing everything I can for him.
Well, there you go.
I just want him to do it, too.
You did it on your free choice. He'll have to do it on his.
Yes,
You have a horse,
I mean,
right?
Yes.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
You sure can.
You've tried that, haven't you? You're an overcomer, not just a survivor. I'm glad you called me. I like you a lot.
This is the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister, and I'm Rachel Cardinal. To trust someone is to believe that someone is good and honest and will not harm you. And we start out as babies. We're very trusting of our parents who are taking care of us. But then that trust can be broken and it can be thwarted if that one who's taking care of us lets us down or neglects us. And it's the same in relationships. We tend to start out with a strong sense of trust, but then that trust can be broken and it's really hard to get it back. Rebecca wants to talk about trust issues. Thanks for calling in, Rebecca. She was abused and now feels in her heart that she can't trust anyone. So, Rebecca, would you explain just what's going on with you?
What I'm kind of dealing with is I have a trouble kind of forming relationships, successful ones with people, I guess having trust. I've had one serious relationship in my life that lasted 3 years, ended kind of crazily. But it's been a challenge for me to actually let people in and actually trust and believe that somebody can really care about me.
Why is that, Rebecca?
Well, you know, I was like sexually abused in the past. I do think that has something to do with it. As far as, you know, that one relationship I did have, I was in love. It was in high school, so it was a little young.
Yeah, but 3 years is still 3 years, Rebecca.
That's true.
You know, when you say you seem not to be able to have lasting relationships, well, you had a 3-year one. You know, and if you've had a 3-year one before, you can have one and more than that now. Maybe 5 years, maybe the rest of your life. Besides, Rebecca, you know what? It only takes one. I see a lot of people just date, and all they got to show for it's a broken heart, drama, and some scars. What I would do if I were you, you know, since you've been hurt and abused by a family member, is let's just work on you dealing with that. And, you know, just working on little by little trust. Now I'm going to trust my counselor. Now I'm going to call Dawson. I'm going to trust what he has to say. And you know what? The guys will take care of themselves. Because the freer you get from the abuse that happened to you in the past and the people you need to forgive, the more attractive you become to other people because you are alive and they know it.
The Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
I'm glad you called me tonight. What's happening?
My girlfriend, she's going into surgery because she used to have, like, seizures when she was little, and she's been having, like, little ones ever since, but they're going to do some tests, and I'm just scared that she may not make it. Either they may find something or that she may pass during the surgery.
Who's been saying that she would do that?
Well, she told me that that might happen, and that just kind of blew me away. I mean, we've known each other 5 years, and she's never told me that.
Well, maybe it's embarrassing for her. Usually our worst fears never come true. You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
Why don't we look at it another way? Why don't we say they're going to go in there, they're going to find out what the problem is, they're going to get the right medicine, and she's going to be back normal again. Why don't we look at it that way?
Okay.
Think positive. Get some people around you to support you because you're laying in bed at night worrying. We call that stinky thinking. And you need to be as positive as you can and pray for her. The calmer you are, the more that will help her. Make sense?
Yeah.
Be strong, Daniel. Think the very best. Do a lot of praying. Get the support you need so you can support her, knowing that our worst fears seldom come true. But Daniel also realized that this fear that you have does not come from God. The Bible says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline." So all this fear that you have conjured up in your heart doesn't come from God. So you can boldly ask him to take that fear away and replace it with faith, strength, trust, peace. You'll learn how to walk with God more and more as you go through this and other trials.
Have you ever taken much time to think about how you talk to yourself? I know that sounds a little weird, but we do a lot of self-talk in our own heads. Author, pastor, and theologian Paul Tripp has said, "No one is more influential in your life than you are because no one talks to you more than you do." Isn't that true? When you make a mistake, what do you say to yourself? Do you say, "Oh, that was so dumb. You are really, really stupid. Like, stop being such a loser"? I mean, that might be something I could say to myself, but I'm trying to change that dialogue around with God's help. So I want you to just think about how you talk to yourself and what effect it has on your life. When you're having a bad day or a dark day, don't let your feelings take control. Don't chastise yourself. Instead, replace any lie that comes into your mind with the truth. Instead of saying when you make a mistake, "You are so dumb, you are stupid," you can say, "You know what? I have the mind of Christ. I did make a mistake, but I can learn through this mistake." If you find yourself saying to yourself, "I'm a loser, no one cares about me," well, you can say, "God loves me. He chose me. He sees me. I'm part of the family of Christ and I am treasured." So now is a very good time, like right now in this very moment is a good time to stop the critical, self-defeating self-talk. It's time to remind yourself of what's good in your life, of what God has done for you, and also tell yourself you have a victorious life through Christ. In the sum of it all, talk to yourself like you want others to talk to you, with uplifting words, truthful words, words that are loving and nurturing. Care for yourself with your own positive self-talk.
Dawson McAllister.
Tell me your story.
I was molested for about 8 years in my life.
By who?
My stepmom's brother. He was a Catholic priest, and he hung himself about 3 or 4 years ago, back when I was 17.
Was he one of those guys that the church was after?
They didn't know nothing about him. And, yeah, whenever I fessed up, I fessed up to my sister and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I went to go to my grandmother and everything. I came back, and it was all out. My parents didn't believe me or nothing. And he hung himself after I called him. I made him swear the Holy Bible. He told me over the phone that he didn't do it. And then the next day, I get a wake-up call from my dad. He comes into my room, and he tells me that he hung himself. That's not a very good wake-up call.
Who's helping you get through this?
I went through counseling back when I was back in high school, right after it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I got out of it because I had to get taken out of school and everything. I got put in a psychiatric center to, get some more help.
Yeah.
And it helped out a little bit. And sometimes it comes and goes,
Sure.
Everything just comes back and, hits me.
We can help you. We have people who can do one-on-one chat with you, get you some extra counseling if you need it. But this much I do know. The Bible says this in Isaiah. God said, when you pass through the waters, and you have passed through the waters, a priest, someone you're supposed to trust, has violated you for 8 years. You've been through the waters. When you pass through the waters, God says, I will be with you. When you pass through the rivers, they'll not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Pretty graphic, powerful words there. God says, I am there for you. I will be there. I'm going to see you through this. Still a lot of healing has to take place, but it will if you let the Lord do the healing. Good talking to you.
You ready to sound off? Yes! Say thanks.
Give advice to others.
Or sound off on an issue.
It's your chance to step into Dawson's chair. Now.
You're going peer-to-peer.
I was listening to the story about a young lady whose grandmother is suffering from Alzheimer's, and they're trying to figure out what to do and where to go to look for help. I really strongly recommend that she look into finding out where her local assisted living facilities are and get in touch with those people. And sometimes even the state you're living in can help find somebody to help take care of that person, so that way, you know, it's not just so stressful for everybody. I hope this helps, and I hope her problem gets better.
Hang on. More calls are next.
Now, more of the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
Hey, Larry. Glad you called me. What's going on?
I'm on my way back from seeing my child. He's about 3 weeks old now, and been dealing with a lot of stress because the mother thinks I'm out to harm her or the child, or that I have some evil motive, or I'm out messing around with worldly women, worldly loose women. And because she keeps having these dreams that I am, and then when I try to say that I'm not, she acts like I'm calling God a liar. We are Christian believers, and saying that God has given her these visions and stuff.
Maybe it's her hormones.
I could say it's that, but, it's causing a lot of stress on me because I can't eat, can't sleep. She lives 5.5 hours away, and anytime the baby fusses, they'll be in the bassinet, and the baby starts fussing or throwing a fit, and I try to go to comfort. She just jumps at me like, what are you doing? Why are you trying to harm him? And I'm just trying to find out what I can do to prove to her that I'm not one of these men that are abusive or, that I'm going to cause harm.
Did you sign the paperwork?
She wouldn't let me sign it because she didn't trust me. She was doing it to protect her.
Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. She didn't let you?
She would not let me sign my firstborn's birth certificate because she did not trust me.
Yeah,
she
well,
thought I had evil motive to take him away from
you still have rights.
Yeah.
She can't stop you from signing the certificate. It's lawyer time.
Yeah.
I'm serious now. Get your name on that birth certificate. Her moods may come and her moods may go. You can get visitation rights. And she's got to do what she's got to do.
Yeah.
What the law says to do.
Exactly.
Don't be saying she won't let me. She doesn't have the rights to say no at this point. Unless you've done something stupid and beat her up or threatened the baby or some such.
I would never.
I'd go for visitation rights now.
Yeah.
And you have a commitment to that baby now.
Yeah, it is my firstborn, and that's a big part of me. I would not harm it, would not harm her, would never put her in harm's way. I would be the type to sacrifice my own life if it came down to it to protect them.
Well, your name still isn't on the birth certificate.
Yeah.
And you still don't have visitation rights. So I believe you. You're as serious as a heart attack. No, I believe you. But you got to go ahead now and step in and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
And start tomorrow.
Yeah.
The Bible says this too, Larry. Proverbs 10:12. Hatred stirs up strife. We're not going to go in there seeing her with all this hatred in our hearts. We're going to ask God to take all that away because hatred just stirs up strife. She's already wound up as it is. But love covers all sins. You can really love her, even when she's ugly and fighting you. You're going to be able to cover over even the things you've done to her, got her pregnant out of wedlock, etc. So let's just remember, hatred stirs up strife, but love covers all sins. You got to do what you got to do, but do it with so much love that everyone will see that you're sincere and you want to do what's right by this child.
Now, The show that changes everything.
It's great. This is the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
Dawson McAllister.
Got you guys cranked up.
We just started a new semester, and these are my harder classes. And then, my sister, she's bipolar, and she was diagnosed when I was in 5th grade.
Have you ever had one of those days when nothing really goes your way?
And that's just when everything just started to fall apart. I didn't know what to do with myself. My parents weren't there. I don't go to my parents for homework help, or, they don't really drive me anywhere because, they're constantly working. There's just so much to do.
Do you work?
Yeah.
You have time for your friends?
Sometimes, last semester, I never really had homework because it was my easier classes. So I would just go to their house after school. But now it's just so much harder.
Something's got to give. Give.
I don't know the way, but you got this. Give me the faith that you got this. Even today, you got this. I know that you got this.
The simple thing to do is to, make a list of all the things you're doing and then prioritize them. Which one's most important? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. Then, under the theory something's got to give, we take the least important off the board. Then the next least important off the board. Until you finally get down to you're only doing what's manageable. Your deeper problem is the neglect from your parents. And the fact that you're thrown into a situation where you're trying to manage your sister who has emotional issues, which is totally unacceptable. And that's why you need to go to a school counselor, a minister, somebody. You're carrying all this inside of you, like this big old heavy weight on your shoulders, killing you. So you have all this stuff stored up inside of you and it just turns into stress. And that's why it's got to be dealt with, brought out in the open, or it'll just fester and keep on poisoning you.
It's really hard to know how to help a friend who is addicted to drugs. And that's what Jonathan's calling in about. So let's find out what's going on with him and his friend. Jonathan, what's happening?
A lot. I was basically calling because I was put in a pretty tight situation where I've been dating and living with a girl. She's a little older than me. She's 32. She is a teacher and a coach at a local high school.
You're 25, she's 32.
Yes, sir. And found out she was pretty heavily involved in use of cocaine. It was basically a regular weekend thing, sometimes during the week. For example, if she went out, used cocaine, and then the next day got up and drove a bus full of kids to a volleyball tournament. It's put me in a bad situation because I left just to get away from the entire situation, not put myself at risk. But once I did, it's been kind of, weighing on me. What should I do as far as should I speak up and tell the administration, because the kids' lives every day are at risk, or, is that going to wreck her career, and am I going to regret that? And it's a pretty tough situation to be in.
What if you found out she was a pedophile? Would you report that?
Very good point. Yes, sir. I've never been the type to, I guess, be the, tattletale type, but I believe strongly in karma. What goes around comes around, and she'll learn her lesson, but I don't want it to be at the expense of, an innocent child, basically. And at the same time, I hate to see her hit rock bottom in life, but
Why? Until she hits rock bottom, she's not going to turn around.
Right.
I mean, the very nerve of her doing cocaine, but then putting 25, 40 kids at risk. They don't deserve. They don't,
selfish. It's very selfish. How do you think I should approach it? I mean, should I just make a call, send an email to her boss?
Well, I'd go to her boss and say, look, I got to bear my heart, my soul here, because I have to live with myself the rest of my life.
Right.
What you do with this information is between you, the school system, and God.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you what I know so that you can have a heads up.
Okay.
I don't think you'd. I think you'd have a very difficult time living with yourself if she had an accident and killed some kids.
I most definitely would. I guess just hearing it from someone else is all I needed.
Okay, Jonathan. It takes courage to do the right thing.
Right.
but it's never wrong to do the right thing.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate your help on it.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Okay, thank you.
Hopeline. You're listening to the Hopeline
with Dawson McAllister.
What's going on with you and your parents?
Well, for about 5 years now, my parents have been separated. About 5 years ago, we lived in an apartment. It was me, my mom, my dad, my sister, and then they kept getting into fights, and they separated, and my dad moved out. And now my dad wants a divorce, and he's dead set on it, and my mom cries every night because of it. And she calls me into her room about every night and talks to me about it. And she's trying to get me to talk to my dad and tell him to move back in, but it's kind of awkward.
Well, Emily, your mother has broken two cardinal sins, if you will, in a situation like this. She's asking you to be the counselor when really she's the mother, you're the child. And you're sharp, you're articulate, you're insightful. But as far as I know, you don't have your doctorate degree in counseling, do you?
No.
So you really are the wrong person to be talking to her about it.
Right.
She has no business calling you into the room every night to vent. Secondly, she has no business making you into the message carrier. That's not your job either. If she wants your dad to come back, then she's got to go through the adult channels to try to work on that. That's called a marriage counselor.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom's an adult, and she is going to have to work this out. I don't know what's going to happen with your mom and dad. You got a whole life ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not selfish to protect yourself. At the same time, you need to be extremely respectful of your mother and your father. You seem like a loving person, kind person, but you're also delivering the goods. When you say, Mom, I can't be a messenger, etc., all that. That's hard on your mom, and she's needy. She's been hurt. So respect her. You can listen, just don't give counsel. Always be kind, even though she looks and acts like she's crazy sometimes. Be kind. By respecting her, you're really respecting God. The Bible says in Exodus 20:12, honor your father and your mother so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God has given you. Honor your father and your mother. We honor by being very respectful, no matter what their situation may be. You do that, you're going to get through this. You'll see.
All right, I got some FAQs for you, frequently asked questions. Why is my anger out of control? So when we get angry, it can be very difficult to control it. I mean, you can go from 0 to 100 super fast. Have you ever yelled or broken something or said something you regretted out of anger? Most of us can say yes, we have, and sometimes that happens a little too frequently. So these mistakes, they are part of being human, and it can be difficult to manage strong feelings, especially when we feel deep hurts or when we feel an injustice has been done. The step to controlling your anger is to understand it. And you can find healthy ways to manage your feelings of anger. So you can find those on our website at thehopeline.com. My next FAQ for you, frequently asked question, is, can a relationship go back to normal after cheating? So if you've been cheated on, you're wondering if y'all can get back to that normal place, that normal relationship. Whether a relationship can be saved after cheating, it is pretty complicated, actually, and it depends on the answers to questions like, well, what happened? Were you safe with your partner? And how long has it been? Have you sought advice? So it's really important not to rush back into a relationship after cheating has happened. You need to give yourself time for healing. You both need to get counseling. And, if there's any risk that the relationship is only a cycle, if this has happened over and over again, then you're not going to get back to that normal place. So for more information, for more help, if you're dealing with cheating, go to our website. It's thehopeline.com. You'll see right there in the topics, cheating, thehopeline.com.
Thanks for listening to The Hope Line
with Dawson McAllister.
EJ, what's going on?
I was going out with this girl, and I cheated on her, and we broke up. We still talk, and we go to church together. We come to church. I'm at church right now. And when we broke up, I think that I fell in love with her. But, you know, I'm 15 years old, and it could just be puppy love. And I want to be with her, and I want to get back with her. But there's boys in the way that is blocking us from getting back together.
Well, you know what? Puppy love leads to a dog's life, so you got to be careful here. I know this is going to be hard for you to do, but why don't you leave this in God's hands since you're at church and back off a little bit. Say, look, you know I really care about you and I've done stupid things, but I have feelings for you. But out of respect for you, I'm going to give you a lot of freedom. But I'm here and I care about you.
I already do that, and I pray about it like every night. I mean, this has been on my mind for such a long time. We stopped talking for like 2 weeks, and then we started talking again, and everything it took off from there. And
why don't you sit down and have a good talk with her? Say, let's define our relationship where we are. Let's get it all out on the table. Then find out where you are.
They made the call that turned their life around.
Hearing you made me feel like there was someone who cared.
This is a Dawson McAllister 180.
When I was 19, my brother got locked up. He hit a cop.
Hit a cop?
Hit a cop, did drugs, stole a car, and he had a gun in his...
They'll frown on that. How long did he get?
5 to 10. And I went out to visit him, and the people told me, oh, you're not on the list.
What can I do for you, Lenny?
We're supposed to go up there and see him. And if I'm not on the list, I'm not going to talk to him never again.
You know what that's like? It's like drinking poison and hoping the rat dies. You turn bitter towards him like that, you're the one doing the suffering, not him. Don't go there.
180.
So what happened?
Rode all the way up and saw my brother. I thought I was not going to be on the visit list because the last time.
But you were this time.
Yeah, and for putting me on the visit list, I got him a $200 barber license to cut hair.
Wow.
You know?
That's sure a far cry from saying I'll never talk to you again.
One call, one life changed.
I want to know what's going on in your heart and mind right now. How are your thoughts? Are they scattered, dark? Are you obsessing on one thing? Well, no matter what it is, you can find help here on our show and at thehopeline.com. Jenny has something weighing on her, and she's called in tonight. Jenny, what is it?
I have some problems going on with my dad right now.
Lay it on me.
He has never really been a part of my life. I mean, he's been here physically, but not mentally, emotionally, or anything like that. But I have not seen him or really talked to him in 6 years. Wow. And I am 19 years old, and I'm going through a lot of stuff right now that I really need to have my dad in my life. And every time I called him a while ago and told him we really need to start talking more and everything. And he called me back about 6 days later, and we talked for 10 minutes, and that was it. And I haven't talked to him again since then. And I really want to be a part of his life. I mean, ever since he remarried, he hasn't wanted to talk to me or nothing. And I just don't know what to do because I need him in my life.
You need someone in your life. I'm not sure it's him. He doesn't have the capacity. Something happened when he married this woman.
Yeah.
Evidently, I'm guessing now, Jen. She said, you know, if you want to stay with me, you can just forget your family. And she had all kinds of power over him. And so basically he sold out to her. How's that sound for a theory and a guess?
Pretty good.
I think I'm right. He doesn't deserve you, does he? And he doesn't have the capacity. He already showed who he was when he walked away 6 years ago. And now he's trying to send you a message. Yeah, I know you're my daughter, but don't bother me very much or I'll get in trouble with my new wife.
Yeah.
So he's not going to come through for you. Now what are we going to do? We're going to find a stand-in, you know, a father figure for your life. Where are we going to find him?
I don't know.
You go to church somewhere?
I go to church groups.
All right. Go to the leader of the church group and have them find a woman that's, you know, like 40 or something. And then meet with her and then tell her your issues, sort of start talking with her. And then from there, she can find a guy that'll be a father figure to you and not try to hurt you. But you need to be aggressive about that. Don't go back into your shell again.
Okay.
and get bitter towards your father and stay stuck. We're going to move on.
Here's another direct message from Dawson.
Well, I'm glad you're here tonight. You know, it is so easy to get out of whack about, what's really going on in your life and what's happening. It's so easy just to look at things in a kind of a messed up way, in a confused way, and go, oh, there's no hope. I got these problems. I'm a single mother, or I can't get a job. The list goes on and on. And then you hear some, fresh ideas from new perspective, if you will. Look at things from a different way. I am so honored to be able to help you do that. Look at your life from a different perspective and come up with some answers that work. Not just moan and groan, but talk about a plan that'll work. I'm glad you're with me tonight. We're going to work on this real hard.
I love you guys. Tell a friend about the show that changes everything.
Yes, absolutely. This is the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
I love hanging out with friends and listening to you guys.
Hello, Alyssa. What's going on with you and your grandpa?
He died about 2 years ago, and we were really, really close.
I searched the world,
I saw him every day for 3 years.
but it couldn't fill me.
He was fine 2 months before he died. I mean, he was great.
Man's empty praise and treasures that fade are never enough.
We went to check on him to fix something in his house.
And you came along
He wasn't looking good at all.
and put me back together.
I don't know. I was just wondering if it was normal to still feel depressed about him passing away.
Yes, it should hurt less and less, but it still hurts. It could take up to 5 years. You'll have more good days than bad days. And I also, rather than just deal with the depression, I would try to deal with the positive side of this man. What was it about him that so moved you to love him? And write that down, and the qualities that he has and think more on the positive end than the negative end. Now, we're not going to suppress the negative end. It hurts and it hurts. Some days we're laughing and the next day we're crying. That's part of the grieving process. And as you think more positively about the man, his life, and his legacy that you'd like to carry on, the better that you'll start to feel. Don't beat yourself up. Just give it time.
What's the antidote to deep discouragement? Well, it's encouragement. Whether you can admit it or not, you need it. You need encouragement. I need encouragement. And you can make the difference for someone else by encouraging them. So take Hayden, for example. He wanted to die by suicide, but on the day he planned it, when a friend said to Hayden, "Hey man, you are such a good friend to me. I just thought you should know how much you mean to me." Well, it stopped Hayden that day from dying by suicide. And that's a really intense example, but here's another one. I remember a time when someone told me, "You are enough." And it helped me get through the day. You are enough. And you can be an encourager. So if you find someone in your life who needs encouragement, who's deeply discouraged, encourage them. Now, Adam's on the phone and he needs encouragement. Well, what's going on, Adam?
I heard your radio show, and I heard a lady talking about addictions and that kind of stuff. And I have a lot of compassion for people in those situations and going through breakups and that kind of stuff. 3.5 years ago, I got mixed up with cocaine real bad and marijuana, and before I was even 20 years old, I had 3 DUIs on my record, and I went through about 7 months of real intense alcohol, drug counseling, and finally made the conscious decision that I was going to change my life. And so I just kind of wanted to offer a few words of hope, for some listeners out there, saying that that it can be done, you can pull through, and the basis and the foundation of our core values and spirituality, is faith, hope, and love, with the greatest being love, and that, each and every day it's a conscious decision to make the right choice and to do the right things. And, of course, we're all going to fall. I mean, we're all humans, but, if we can just, do our best. And, as of now, I'm almost 3 years clean and sober, and at one point in my life wanted to die, wanted to be taken out of this world, and, but here I am today, is made a 180-degree turn and, doing the right things in life, and, actually got my family back.
Fabulous. Thank you, Adam. God bless you.
The Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
Ronnie, what's your story tonight?
I'm 19. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 16.
Why did you move out so early?
My parents have always had a rough relationship. They've almost got divorced a few times. For roughly 10 years, my father cheated on my mother and was verbally abusive to everyone in the family and physically abusive to my mother. I left one day and never came back. My parents knew better than to try and chase me down because that would have just made things worse. I mean, I stayed in contact with them on and off. I still went to school. My grades stayed up and everything, so they kind of just let me go. But I used to have a really good relationship with my parents when I was younger. And then when I got old enough to realize what was going on and actually started finding out the truth and the full extent of what was going on and what my father had been doing, like I said, I left, and I had a conversation with one of my parents at one time. I said, you guys might be my biological parents, but you're not my mom and dad.
Ooh, that was harsh.
Anyways, I'm older now, and I realize the fact that I would like to have a relationship with them again, but I'm not quite sure how to, go into that. I see my dad, I work with him in my grandfather's business, but it's strictly as, coworkers. I don't call him dad. We don't, hang out outside anywhere. It's awkward at times, and I'm not sure.
How about your mom?
I talk to her every once in a while. I see her when she comes around, but I mean, like I said, I live in a house with roommates and my brother, and they've never been to my house, and I don't go out and visit them anymore.
Well, to have a relationship with them, they're obviously not the most stable people that walk the face of the earth, but it'll take a huge dose of humility on your part. Mom, Dad, I know I know that this whole breakup between us wasn't all you. I had some to do with it too, especially the devastating words that you may be my biological parents, but in my mind, you're not my parents, is a devastating thing to say. It's a cruel thing to say to a parent because I'm a parent. You need to go back and seek forgiveness from them for whatever you have done to hurt them. And that's going to take humble pie. Now, ask them to forgive you. They may or they may not. But if they do forgive you, then that puts the pressure on them to come clean with you as well for the hurts they've put on you. Meanwhile, you need to study and make a part of your life the whole concept of forgiving others, because there's been a whole lot of lack of forgiveness going on both sides. And that's just poison. You can't, in the end, you really cannot make amends without asking forgiveness and giving forgiveness.
Ronnie, there's a powerful verse in the New Testament. Talks about being humble. 1 Peter 5:6, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he may lift you up in due time. For you to go and try to make peace with your mother and then your father, take responsibility for whatever is yours. Do so in a humble way, a broken way. You're going to make a lot of progress in your life. Is it easy? No. Pride knocks at our door. Pride's always there, ready to fight. But if you can subdue, with God's help, if you can subdue that pride, lift up the humility part, let's see what God does. Even if your parents don't listen, even if they come off hard and cold, you have done the right thing as a peacemaker. And that's the key to having a great life.
This is the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister, and I'm Rachel Cardinal. I'm not a singer, and I really don't know that many songs by heart, but there was this one time in youth group, a long time ago, we got sectioned off into groups, and we were told to sing a section of this certain hymn. I mean, we rehearsed and practiced that song so many times, and I'll never forget the chorus, even though it was so many years ago, and it was called Love Lifted Me. When nothing else would help, love lifted me. And I wanted to share one of the verses with you. And it says, I was sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. But the master of the sea heard my despairing cry. From the waters lifted me, now safe am I. Love lifted me. So I just want you to remember God is love, and he wants to lift you up. There comes a time when nothing else will help, only God's love.
You're listening to The Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.
If you're listening right now, there's a reason you're here and you're listening to our show. And I want you to type in our website right now into your phone, thehopeline.com. bookmark our website. Save it for when you or a friend need help. And maybe one day when your friend is telling you, I don't know what to do. I'm being abused, or I have anxiety and panic attacks. You can say to your friend, I'm listening. I don't know exactly what advice to give, but I can refer you to a place to get help. And that's thehopeline.com. Now let's get back to chatting, talking. Taryn is on the line with us. He wants to get a car. Taryn, how can we help you?
I can't go to my prom because, I don't drive, and I'm 17 years old, and I see people younger than me, driving and stuff and all that. It just hurts because I don't drive and all that.
Why don't you drive?
Oh, because I don't have a car, and my mom had bought a new car, and she won't let me drive it. So I have to walk all the time, and then our prom's coming up, and I could have went last year or even this year, but I couldn't go because I didn't have a car, and plus, traditionally, you have, the guys usually drive to the date's house and all that. So I felt like I'd be a loser if, the girl came and picked me up,
Couldn't you have double dated with a friend?
I talked to a lot of people, but, I already don't fit in that much at my school, it's just, a quick social thing, I really don't hang out as much, I want to drive, so bad, so I go to my senior prom, because I don't want to miss my senior prom just because I couldn't drive,
Well, why don't you get a job?
Oh, I have a job.
All right. Save up your nickels and save up your dimes. How much have you saved up so far?
Well, it's kind of hard because I've have all this other stuff to pay for, my phone, and I help my mom out with rent sometimes and food and groceries and all that.
Well, you need to tell your mom how you feel and how it's your goal that next year you want to be able to drive your date to the prom. Ask her to help you come up with a plan to make that a reality. And I think she'll help you. And, you don't have to get a Rolls Royce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And talk with her about how it's affecting your self-esteem. And I believe next year at this time you will be able to drive to the prom.
This is the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister, and I'm Rachel Cardinal. Man, Jake, you are in a very tough situation. I know you really like this girl. So he really likes the girl, but her mom's preventing them from seeing each other. So let's find out more. Jake, tell us your story.
She is very controlling and getting in the way of us. We've been talking for about 6 months. I'm not allowed to go over to her house or call her or basically communicate with her at all. And the past month, she's just continued to get worse. Her mom has. I don't know what to do.
Well, how old is this girl?
She's 16.
Yeah, you got issues.
Yeah.
You're 18, she's 16. It's too bad you're not 20 and she's 18.
Sometimes I wish it was like that.
Well, life's hard, I wish I had some great, wonderful breakthrough ideas for you. You might want to try to meet alone with the mother and talk it through with her. She's scared you're going to get her pregnant. She's scared you're going to hurt her daughter, walk away. She's got a lot of fears.
Yeah.
So if you can calm those fears, you got a shot at it.
Yeah, I've tried. I'm very nice. Before when we first started dating, I used to be over there, quite a lot, and her mom seemed to like me. I go to church with them. I've been going to church with her and her family for about 3 years now, and we didn't.
Well, then it's time to have a sit down with her mom. Ask her lovingly what gives.
I've asked my girlfriend why she doesn't like me, and she says that she doesn't really talk about me at all around her.
Well, it's time to have this all talked out. Now, again, you got to be gentle and loving about the whole thing. Let's just say it doesn't work for whatever reason. Then you're going to have to wait a couple of years.
Yeah, my mom's told me that too.
Yeah. True love waits. 2 years from now, she'll be out of high school and an adult. Her mom will have a whole lot less to say.
The advice you hear on this show is given with the understanding that the host is not a licensed counselor. The show is best seen as a starting point for what you're facing. You are advised to seek out a licensed counseling professional before taking action in your life. All callers are sent to the Hope Line after speaking with Dawson. By calling in, you are giving your implied consent to be recorded for future on-air broadcast. Thanks for listening to the Hope Line with Dawson McAllister.